Yes, thank you, Sister Carolin, for joining all the way from Germany. And before I give it to you, she's joined us for the first time, so I think I need to tell a few things about her. Again, a very humble, loyal student, I must say, Rajyogi student, because she's shared only a few things. So I have to say all that. And Sister Carolyn has studied educational science, sociology, psychology, and philosophy, and works for a transdisciplinary research institute in Germany. And also, she designs and facilitates and researches on transformative communication spaces for various stakeholders at the United Nations Climate Change Conferences. Since 2013, she has been a part of the delegations to the United Nations conferences. So she's very loyal to that purpose as well. And she's a part of the BK Environment Initiative. Her journey with the Brahma Kumaris has started way back in 1998, and now she co-leads the BK Center in Berlin, the capital of Germany. And what she says that her special interest is the interconnectedness of the inner and the outer transformation, which means, according to her, how transforming and cultivating states of consciousness, attitudes, behaviors, and lifestyles can help transitioning towards a sustainable society. So quite a mouthful to absorb, but I'm sure she'll simplify things for us. And as always, the poem which we do for our guests. So today our special guest for loyalty is Sister Carolin, who's serving the souls in the city of Berlin. With her sweet words sounding like a violin, she inspires souls not to worry, but to win. So today she shall guide us on how to begin our journey towards the Supreme by looking within. She says, let's first be comfortable in our own skin, trying not to worry whether I am fat or thin. Because Maya can play havoc inside, making my head spin. But let me stick to the Supreme like a conjoined twin. Never letting go of that twin. Letting go of all the waste thoughts, putting them in the bin, feeling light and burden-free, liberated from all the sin. So with this, thank you so much again for joining. Over to you.
Manoj, thank you so much for that lovely introduction and the poem. And to the whole team, Anuben and Ashok Bhai and everyone by name for creating such a creative and ongoing inspiration to the world of the Brahma Kumaris and everyone who is interested in spiritual study and experiences. Thank you so much also for having me today. I think we have heard now really already such a rich content and thoughts, such rich thoughts about loyalty in last week's session, which has been now the essence being shared again and put together in a nice summary, and then also the workshop. While I was thinking what I could add to all of that, which has already been shared. So for me, all the terms which have been mentioned, I won't work on those, but I would like to look at loyalty and royalty a bit from a different perspective today, and to see that loyalty actually is very neutrally looked at is a way how we relate to something. So it's per se not good or bad in a way, but it describes a way how we relate, how we position ourselves to something or someone. And its connotation is definitely positive because it's considered to be something which is deep, which is led by, I would say, deeper values, not influenced so much by temporary, glimmery gains and attractions. Usually that's what we would understand with loyalty, something which is more consistent. And so let's look at it as the way how we relate, first of all, and then I would like to go further to what maybe would be important to connect loyalty to, like what is a necessary other quality or power which would be needed so that I'm sure my loyalty is really beneficial. Because I do think it's not per se beneficial. And some of the things, of course, were being touched upon before, but I tried to look at it a bit from a different point of view. And then also looking at the benefits of loyalty and, of course, how to develop it, how I can strengthen my loyalty. So it's an inner attitude, and it describes how I stand to something or someone. And its positive connotation means I'm kind of not allowing anyone to cheat me or attract me to something else rather than to what I'm consistently standing towards. So in this way, you can say a loyal person is less influenced by things than another person, someone who's not loyal to whatever he's loyal to. And it's also goes together with connectedness. So a loyal person is deeply connected to whatever he or she is loyal to. And that connection is usually also something which nurtures me. So let's say I have a set of values which are very important to me. I stay connected to them and they nurture me. They influence me in a positive way. But because of that conscious choice, I choose my, I would say, positive influence or what I'm being nurtured by, informed by, and therefore not being influenced by other things or other values. And so if I'm experiencing that support, very automatically my life is getting more in alignment with these values. And it's like, it can be like an inner sensor, like a compass, which tells me even intuitively if another offer for support or for a gain or a quick win is not what I want. It's not in alignment to what I've chosen to be committed to, loyal to. So deep loyalty is actually also, if it's like a reflected one and a conscious decision and something I understand deeply, then that refines my ability to discern. So here I'm already giving a hint to the other value or power, which I think is important to be connected to loyalty. Let's give an example about loyalty. When I'm committed to being having a healthy body and taking care of the health of my body, I would not eat anything which is like unhealthy. Or if I'm committed to the principle of non-violence, I would probably, if I think about it, become vegetarian or even vegan. Because I know that food or meat production or milk production is connected to a lot of violence and transgression. So that's how I would translate it into my life and commit to it. And therefore, it also releases power. When my commitment to a certain value is really deep, and it nurtures me, I have the power to say no to something which is not in alignment. Or in this example, I would say no to very tasty food if it's not healthy for me or for my body. So it gives me a certain power also to be able to do that, to also go not with the masses, you know. And especially in today's world, I mean, the value canon, the values which are in our systems and kind of omnipresent are probably not the values which I would like to follow if I think about them. But it's not so easy because we constantly have to be aware and check, what is this about, you know, where is it coming from, which values are being actually lived here in this work culture if I'm in a company also. Sometimes loyalty is also described as being faithful. And I think, Manoj, by last week, you connected, or you said you had a look in our studies, our Merlis, and the word loyalty is not used very much. I'm not speaking Hindi, but I know there is a word for Hindi for loyalty, but somehow it's more used faithful. But very rightly, it was also pointed out, it's not blind faith. It's not just, you know, an purely emotional commitment or surrender, but it's something on the basis of deep understanding. So I can commit to something and when I deeply understand it, but then when I then align my life to it or make certain decisions, for example, start to live a spiritual life and change my life, in the beginning, it might be very easy because I'm excited, I feel the benefit, I feel the change, I feel I'm growing. But then maybe after many years, that first excitement or that newness is gone. And to still keep connecting to what I have understood and make the effort, and might be more effort which I need to make rather than compared to the effort in the beginning, I make that effort. I reinvent myself. I reinvent and my commitment, so that I will stay loyal to what I have already understood. So in that way, also loyalty sometimes requires to go through a phase of, it was said earlier, to stay with something through all seasons. So we have spring and summer, which is usually very joyful, and then the autumn and winter comes, which is not so joyful. But to be really uninfluenced by that, because I know and repeat and revive what is so dear to my heart, or what is so important to me. So summing that first part up about understanding what loyalty is, I would say loyalty is something about how I relate to something or someone, and it also describes the quality of this relation, because it's deep and it's like consistent. So loyal behavior is informed by something I'm deeply connected to and committed to. Okay, now let's look at the thing which I mentioned in the beginning. Loyalty is not per se beneficial. Why? And what is needed? So since in my definition, I said it's only describes a certain quality of how I relate to something or someone, it can also be said that it can also be that I'm loyal to something which is not beneficial. So we had this question about, am I loyal to people? And I agree that can be tricky. If I have a good friend, or let's say there is someone I look up to who has a certain seniority, a position, I have learned a lot from that person, or I have received benefits from that person and time and so on. So there's a heart connection, and I have a lot of gratitude maybe for that person. But we are all human beings, so no human being is perfect. I still have the responsibility to check and not follow blindly. And well, that's something actually, as someone who is socialized in Germany, we learn very strongly to not follow blindly because of our history. And even if I like someone, to really check, am I following principles or things which are really something I can take the responsibility for. And so I think it's healthy to also develop that positive independence, where I always know why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm following something, committing to something. And if I'm not anymore feeling comfortable, then I need to stop and need to see, is it still the right value, or is it still the right path or thing to do for me? Yeah, and so regarding people, I said every human being is a human being and not perfect, and therefore actually in the Brahma Kumaris we are encouraged and encourage others to not follow a guru or something, but to create one's own personal relationship to God. Because we think that this being, the divine, is the only being which is where we can be sure this being is uninfluenced, this being is 100% pure. And everyone else is just on the way, or having phases, might have phases of being with less power, being influenced by something lower, which we all have and which is human. So it's not bad, but it's just something to be aware of. So to connect to the divine is a way and a commitment, or a relation, a way to relate, which is always where I'm always on the safe side, because that influence will always be something I can trust. I like this aspect actually, that we have the responsibility for ourselves and can never give away our responsibility to another person. I have the responsibility for my choices, for my life, for what I do, for my feelings, for everything. So loyalty is also can be a character trait, but again, how I might have to purify it and really look, why am I committing to something or someone? What are the deeper values behind? So maybe you can write in the chat if you like, what you think would be the power or quality which helps me to be loyal in the right way. Values can be from a huge range. There can be, the value of certain religious understandings, and we have seen many things in the world nowadays. People are committed religion or to an understanding of God, but then at the same time go against human values or human rights, because that's what their belief asks them for. So that's just an example how loyalty can be not so beneficial or difficult, challenging. So I might feel loyal towards a friend, but then I get into an ethical dilemma because this friend does things or behaves in a certain way that I cannot justify. Patience and kindness I already saw. Elegance. Thanks for writing things in the chat. Face trust. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for a certain power, which is part of our study in Raj Yoga. Tolerance power. I would say if tolerance power is an outcome of loyalty. So you can there I saw something already. Okay, we'll come to it. The power to discriminate and discern. Yes, I'm looking for that one. And power of purity is also, I can also relate to that very much. So that's relating to what I said earlier. If I'm impressed by someone's greatness, I might lose my discernment power and suddenly maybe do things which I maybe support things. I support that person, and then with that I support a situation which might be unhealthy for a community or other people. So that's a tricky thing. When I'm attached to someone, I might lose a certain amount of my discernment power, whereas I can appreciate the values and everything that person is doing, but I shouldn't be impressed, and therefore keep my decision, my concern, my discernment power very clear and pure. So I also like the way how it was put by Judy Johnson, what Dadi said to her. Don't trust each other when she was coming with a service companion, but trust how God uses each other's specialities. And that's actually a tool, I would say, a practical tool which we can all use to keep myself safe if I'm working closely with someone and appreciate that person, and I learn a lot, and we are maybe really complementing each other in our specialities. But to always keep, if you believe in God, or if you don't believe in God, then connect with a higher energy or value which is beyond that person. But you can, whatever your image is of God, you don't need to fix it if you don't want to, but just connect to a divine energy and keep that divine energy between you and that person. And that is already a protection of keeping a certain neutrality, being neutral. So to sum that up, my loyalty can also be influenced by attachment or fear. I haven't mentioned that. Sometimes people act out of fear of maybe doing something wrong or not pleasing someone who wants to be pleased, and then maybe paying off. But not to be influenced by that, not to have fear. So that person himself doesn't ask me to do something, and I think this is what the person likes. So that could be, maybe it's only in my mind that I think this is what the person minds, but it likes or wants from me. That's connecting also to that earlier point of doubting and feeling to be the reason of if someone is not honest or loyal towards me. No, to really just stay with what is. So the quality of power I have to complement with loyalty is discernment. Discernment, of course, is understanding, but it also, when I'm deeply connected to my personal values or to the divine, I develop a sensing, an ability to perceive if something is true or not. This is also an outcome, I would say, of soul consciousness, the practice of being, of feeling and experiencing the being which I am and my own inner truth. That also gives power to my discernment, power, my sensing of right and wrong. So I need to discern which the values are that are important to me and that I want to be loyal towards. And it can't be an organization or a person in whole. But it can be values that I understand to be important and real. If the values of the prevailing values of the society is also a big topic, actually. There are expectations of society, my family, my colleagues, my boss, whatever. And sometimes we can get into a dilemma of not, wanting to fulfill these kind of values of the world, which can be very egoistic or selfish, and to stay away from that can be not so easy if you're in a group. But at least I'm aware of it, and I can maybe find a way to communicate why I'm behaving differently or why I'm not being part of something where I'm asked to be part of. Okay, so benefits of loyalty. I already mentioned that it can release a great deal of power. I like also the example of mothers who are totally committed to their children. They usually don't mind being awake at night when the child needs anything. And mothers usually do that very without, without thinking about it. It's like obvious, it's like normal, but it's actually a very beautiful dedication to something, to someone, to my child. And it's power to be able to go beyond maybe your own physical needs, to beyond your own likings, because you love someone, something, and you committed to it. So I think we can learn a lot from mothers here, actually, who very naturally have that quality. But also the power to tolerate. So let's say I'm in a situation, I'm in a country or in an organization or in a group where I'm not really agreeing with everything that's going on, and it might become uncomfortable. But I still think I cannot leave because I have a part to play here. I have a task, and I'm committed to that task. I'm committed to that role I've been given. And so I have to stay with the people I haven't chosen myself. I have to stay with the environment I haven't chosen myself. So in this way, the power to tolerate things which I don't like is an outcome of my loyalty to, in this way, my path or my values. And I think often we come into contexts and situations, life is providing situations for us which we have not consciously chosen. And it can be very helpful to think about, okay, if it would be my choice, I might do something else or go somewhere else. But I know life has provided this situation for me to maybe purify something in me. So my loyalty, for example, to my path of spirituality, or my commitment to grow spiritually and transform myself and learn the lessons I have to learn in my life, will then give me the conviction to stay with the situation and go through it and to learn my lessons. So that requires a lot of power, but the more or the deeper my connection to these values are, the more I can do these steps. So loyalty can be sometimes also translated as conviction about something, faith in something. And if I have and stay with that, there will be a return. If I stay, for example, loyal to spiritual principles, the return might be that I succeed in growing spiritually, in becoming spiritually powerful. So success can also be an outcome of loyalty. And ultimately, I've also seen, if I stay loyal to my commitments, to what is important to me, life also responds to that after some time. It's like life gets into alignment with my values. I cannot wait for it. I mean, can happen soon, it can happen on the long run. But usually when I go deep inside and really ask myself, okay, what is most important to me in my life? What do I really want? And I, no matter what, I will commit to that. I have seen life changing very quickly, circumstances changing very quickly. For example, with work, logic work. Once I felt I cannot live two lives anymore. From my heart, I like to just full time be just teaching meditation, exploring spirituality, but then also I have to earn some money. I have to live from something, make my living, and that takes a lot of time and energy. And so I had a very deep conversation with God about this, and I said, I don't want to be torn in two sides. And it was just very deeply from my heart. And I looked in the eyes of the light, which I imagined in my meditation. And it was like something came back, something like, wait and see. Something is in the making. Life will respond to your wish and to your commitment, your loyalty. And it took only a couple of months when something opened up, a new work opportunity, which was exactly connected to my spiritual work. And so I was more and more doing what I would do for like my voluntary work with the Brahma Kumaris and my professional life. I was even traveling to the same conferences in the mission of both my engagement with the Environment Initiative as well as my engagement with the Research Institute. So I was thinking I would never ever have been able to create that myself or like plan like that. It just happened. And so I think that we really have a pure, deep desire and commitment to spiritual values and express that in our meditation to the divine, life does respond to it. So how am I developing loyalty actually practically? Well, I think we have to start with being loyal to ourselves, which includes having to get to know myself on a more deeper level. To realize myself really needs to understand my reactions, my feelings, what are my deepest values, and why I cannot live them maybe at some times. But then what I cherish and what is important to me, how can I stay in the experience of that? And experience is very important in transformation and transformative processes for me. It cannot be only an intellectual wanting or realization. It needs to be also experienced in my heart, because that's where I get the fuel or the power from to really go deeper and look at things which are not so good inside myself, which gives me the power and the will and the self-respect to knowing what I am and what is inside me, to work on that things which are not good yet, not beneficial yet. So if I am, let me be loyal to my spiritual well-being and my spiritual growth, and then to my task and my part, which I already mentioned, my responsibility. I feel for me, Raj Yoga, my whole path has been a very natural one. The moment I started to experience myself as a soul, as a spiritual being, and I felt my inner truth, and I stayed for a long time. I was very introverted and mainly in silence to feel and experience the power of these truths inside us, inside me. And from that, many things very naturally came. A certain clarity in my understanding, a certain clarity about what I want and what is good for me, what is not good for me, and so on. So we have the first maybe responsibility is to create our own life in a way that it is a really valuable life, a life of high values. And that's great, because life in itself, now looking at it from a scientific perspective, where everything is connected, we are part of a bigger system. If I create valuable and spiritual, powerful life, that's contributing to the world. It influences everything. It influences my relationships, the people I'm connected with. It influences, is an example, it influences systems in which I'm part of, because everything is connected. So to create a loyal life, or a life of loyalty, which is based on my values, is benefiting not only me, but everyone, and benefiting the world. I like to give a few more examples, also to differentiate loyalty to something which is maybe could be understood to be loyal, but not the loyalty we mean here. I'm presently thinking a bit about administration, and certain countries are known for strong administration, and sometimes administration and systems and administrate something can become so powerful that the human and the aliveness is getting lost. And yes, it can make something efficient and effective. And there is loyalty in administration, the way I would say that it's consistent, it's like led by principles, it's led by rules and so on. And you can trust that system, but it can become such that my mindset, and some people who have a career in administration, I can see that there is a loss of humanity, of a human feeling, and an aliveness. I'm saying this because it's just something I'm exploring at the moment, how even in spirituality I can stick to or be an advocate for spiritual principles and rules, but there's a way where I can lose the actual sense of it, the actual beauty and aliveness of it, and then I can become very rigid and not being aligned anymore with life or the situation or other people, and therefore lose the understanding of what is really needed and what is practical. And maybe I even lose the deeper meaning of that spiritual principle. So I think it's a big topic if we want to look at it from practical points of view and explore it in single examples. But I think I come to closure and offer a meditation. Is that right,
Yeah,
Manoj?
so we have time for next 20 minutes. So I'll just take a couple of questions. I just wanted to know your thoughts. I hope I'm clear and audible, right? Yeah. So since you have been regularly attending the United Nations climate change conferences, I mean, this may sound very wrong when I'm saying this, but people speak a lot in the conferences about how climate change is so bad, so on and so forth. But is anyone really loyal towards what we should be doing? And I mean, from the Brahma Kumari's perspective, since you are representing the Brahma Kumari's organization, so how do you all convince them to be loyal towards this cause? Because otherwise also we see that the discussions, talks won't help. Something needs to be really done at a bigger level. So how does that loyalty come into play there?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's a very, very good question because, in fact, the United Nations Climate Change Conference is being known by now of not being effective. The negotiations getting stuck each time, sometimes from the day one when they have to decide on the agenda. There is one or two countries who seem to be on purpose prolonging the agreement on the agenda because of something. So I would quite surely say not everyone at the climate change conference is loyal to the aim of reducing climate change or reducing the factors which lead to climate change. And therefore, I was saying also, talking about systems, I have been since my youth age, my teenage, very positive about the United Nations because I think it's really a great institution, which probably is the only institution which brings all countries on one table together in one place physically in this case, for 2 weeks, and has the ability to let these people kind of talk to each other at least, even though there are countries who are don't have a history of not liking or trusting each other. So that's for sure a very good thing about the United Nations. But I think in any big organization which is has a history of many years, and it's now the 28th climate change conference, it has become so complicated that even those who are in the leadership positions, top leadership in the UN, don't understand anymore all the different parallel processes which go on. So it's not at all functional, but more so, I would say, the culture of communication, the culture of being at the COP is so disconnected because of people meeting each other only in their roles as representatives of a certain country, of a certain political agenda, and so on. So it's an environment which is very political and not very transformative or alive, or where you can say all the potential which is there, the people bring potential from all over the world, is actually not, the culture of work is not making use of that potential. So when we go there, we, as Brahmakumaris, we consciously bring in a different element. And I would say this is the element of the heart, where we talk to people not as their positions or their roles, but as human beings, as souls, and create friends and friendships on that level. And I can tell you, people are longing for a glimpse of humanity in these conferences, because they are so disconnected from what is alive, and constraints and stressful. People work through the whole night, that when they feel a moment of humanity, of something, human connectedness, love, purity, someone they can feel, where they can trust this person is actually genuine. It doesn't want anything, and it's not here for a political party or wants a certain outcome, or want something from me as a politician to say this and this. Then they're so grateful. So one thing is, of course, we bring in the message of spirituality and values, but also creating friendships with individuals, but also providing a space where people can encounter each other, not in that disconnected way of roles and where there's fear and mistrust, but as friends, where they can connect to each other. And so I do see the dark side of these systems, but I also think we still should go there and be there and bring in a different element, bring in friendship, connectedness, love, humanity. I hope that answered the question.
Oh, yes, wonderful answer. And there's a very quick, I would like you to answer that in a quick way. This question is quite practical from a person. I think it's a lady. She says that she's recently joined the Brahma Kumaris. Her husband doesn't like her going for the morning spiritual class, and she really makes up many things. She says, I'm going to the gymnasium 7 to 8 and working out, but she goes for the spiritual class in the morning. So she feels at dis-ease inside because she's saying, I'm being dishonest with him. And she's asking, am I disloyal to my husband when I'm doing this? That I'm speaking lies about this thing, but I need to get my daily dose of the spiritual class in the morning.
Yeah, this is the typical case of conflict, of ethical conflict. And I said earlier, I think we can say we can never be loyal to a person, to a human being, or we shouldn't be, but to the values the person stands for, and to the relationship and the values in our relationship which we hold. But if I do something to please someone else, but I'm going against my own virtues, values, or what is so important for me, and my spiritual growth in that case, I'm neither doing myself anything good, nor am I doing that other person anything good. And I think here we have to understand or like and estimate or see, am I able to explain to my husband in your case that I really need this spiritual input, that it gives me so much, and that I still would do everything I need to do, like my role as wife or mother, whatever, so that I'm fulfilling my task and my responsibility, but I also need that spiritual powers to be happy and become powerful. And if he doesn't understand that and he doesn't want you, then it's a question why? Why does he not want you to become, spiritually powerful or do that? Does he have fear to lose you? You can ensure him that you will be there for him if he needs you, but you have a right to become happy and to follow what is close to your heart. You have a responsibility for your own happiness and your own life. And usually when you're really happy, it can't be bad for anyone. Because when you are happy and powerful, you're in the best position to share happiness with everyone else. And I had that a little bit with sorry, I'm supposed to make it quick and short. Just one thing, I had that with my mother, who was also scared about my sudden change as a 19-year-old girl from one life to a completely different life and being so committed suddenly. She just couldn't connect and couldn't understand. But over time, when she saw that I'm happy and that I'm still keeping a good connection with her and a relationship with her, she one day said, Carolin, I couldn't live the life you live, but I see that you're happy and that's the right thing for you. And I'm grateful for our relationship. So it may take time.
Wonderful answer. Thank you so much. So I'll invite our seniors now to propose the vote of thanks. So Dr. Ashok Mehta, followed by Sister Claudia. Over to both of you.
Thank you, Carolin Ben. I think you took us to various dimensions of loyalty. I made a couple of notes. I liked a few of the things that you talked about: commitment to healthy body, vegetarianism, and I think that's something which I like very much. That once you want to be committed to a healthy lifestyle, you have to change your food habits, whatever you're eating. I think fitness is a very important thing as far as the spiritual progress is concerned. I think that loyalty to health is equally important. The second thing I liked is that the newness and excitement. Sometimes, it becomes, you lose that excitement. And then the most important is your loyalty and commitment, which you should have. I think both these points were very good. Loyalty is tricky, all right, because I can tell you from my professional life, I used to work with a surgeon who was very conservative in cancer treatment. He would do very little surgery. And, by and large, we used to be taught that cancer at that point of time in the 60s and 70s, the larger you do, the better. And he would do smaller and smaller. So we thought that he was out of tune. And I used to work the next year or so with another surgeon who was extremely radical, go wide and take out as much as you want. But he was very progressive in thinking. And that was a time when systemic treatment of cancer came in by way of chemotherapy. In those years, chemotherapy was known as a poison. It was poisonous drugs. So we were becoming members of the Poison Club, as a matter of fact. So I think changing loyalty sometimes from conservative to radical and then to further, loyalties also keep on changing. They don't remain the same. I've also seen amongst our own group of Brahma Kumaris, we have different shades of loyalty. For example, during the COVID pandemic, I used to work in a hospital where lots of people were asked to leave. And I felt that it was not really correct. And I almost gave it up. I said, I will not work. And I resigned from there. So I think the commitment also requires a lot of sacrifice. An institution which I built with my years of commitment I just left because I felt that there was a higher principle involved where you cannot sacrifice a poor man during the pandemic, come back within 1 week, otherwise you're terminated, and that's it. That again, you talked about administration. I think this is where loyalty is also equally important to the principles that we profess. Anyway, I think this has been a very, very interesting, I would say, episode, the 72nd episode on loyalty, and we really enjoyed listening to you, Carolin sister. I was in Berlin, but that's probably prior to 98, and missed meeting you at that point of time. Thank you very much. We enjoyed, we loved your presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashok. Thank you. Thank you.
Shanti, good morning, Carolin. It's a long time since I met you in Madhuban at the CC retreat, but it's nice to meet you again today. And it's talking a very nice subject as loyalty. Of course, like Dr. Mehta said, we have to be loyal to our patient. Patient can be a friend, can be not only patient in the hospital, in the office, but loyal to our friends. And I think that loyalty, when we are loyal to them, and we bring a trust. So the other ones I see many times in my life for many years, practicing the loyalty that we have to the patient, make them to trust us, even look for us, even if we are not practicing much anymore, but still the loyalty brought that trust for them. But of course, we have to be loyal to ourselves too. I like when you talk about attachment, also be careful when you are loyal, do not they have that attachment then makes you do not be loyal to the self. So thank you very much. It was a quite very nice points that you spoke about. And it's very nice to have you with us. And I hope to see you again in our program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in Madhuban.
Yes.
I'm sure all of you are eagerly waiting for October to start, right? And we are waiting for you all here. As I speak, I'm in Shantivan at the moment. So people are waiting for you all in Gyan Sarovar. And just met Nirmala Didi. She was saying, 1st October, all of you will start coming. So she sent her good wishes. She said, tell them in the VFL workshop to do the values workshop. So there you are. So we'll see you all soon. And let me share the screen and make the quick announcements for you all. So the month of August, we started with guidance and loyalty. And now we move on to lightness and sweetness. I'm sure if you look at Santosh Didi, who's the director of our St. Petersburg region in Russia, so you know, she's so light. Her talks itself are full of, I must say, love and light. And together with lightness, what closely goes is sweetness, because the more you are light, automatically you become sweet. And she is an embodiment. I still remember asking her to do sweetness last year. But that time the war had just begun in Ukraine and all that Russia thing was going on. And she said, Manoj, it's not possible to be sweet in this atmosphere of war. And who would want to listen on sweetness when there is war around? But well, times have changed. So we are having it next. But she's doing on lightness. And that's on next Saturday, 2nd September, same time, 7:30 for West Coast, India, 8 p.m. And we have our silence retreat postponed from tomorrow to the next Sunday. For some reasons, we can't do it tomorrow. So please join us on Sunday, 3rd September. That's the India time, 8:30, and Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. West Coast time. And as always, the next workshop is also on lightness. And we have another very senior Rajayogi, Sister Rita Clary from Boston. And she will be with us on the next subsequent Saturday, 9 September, same time again. Still, the clocks haven't changed. At least still more time for that. And this is our elegant calendar for September, where we'll have sweetness later. We'll do the announcements. And we are approaching in the next month our platinum episode, episode 75. I'll do the announcements later. And also, just for your information, September, we have 2 silence retreats, one on loyalty and the other on sweetness. And these are our email addresses and websites. And all these are available freely on the YouTubes. These are the links: omshanti.tk/workshops. And for the episodes, omshanti.tk/playlist/English. And also you can type in the other languages which you want to select. Right. So with this, I will just stop sharing and we move on to the meditation now. Sister Carolin, over to you. Thanks.
Om Shanti. Just take a moment to breathe and relax your physical body. Gently, I turn towards myself. And I see myself being deeply connected and committed to what's in my heart, to what's really important in my life, to my core values. I allow my core values of truth, of purity and love to expand in my heart. In my whole being. I become aware of the beauty of these virtues. Which I cherish. The more I understand and experience their meaning, their vibration, the more I really want to commit to live by them each moment of my life. Being loyal to these values will enhance my self-honor, my self-respect. And I become a trustworthy person. connected with the divine. I know I will be inspiring many other people who live by values. And stay connected deeply to their higher potential. Om Shanti.
Thank you once again, and it's a request. Vijay Pal Bhai, who's our regular participant, he's saying, please have loyalty for the photo group. We always have a photograph in the end. So, yes, we obviously don't want to skip this time as well. So, over to you, Sister Anu. And if all of y'all can just open your video cameras. Yeah, thank you.
We would love to have this moment and for us forever with Sister Carolin. So that was wonderful sharing, Sister Carolin. So everyone, if anybody still, there are a few seconds given if you want to open your video. Yeah, I got it. Much.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye now.